This being October 19th, this is the Earth Strong of Peter Tosh. To be specific, it is the 74th Earth Strong of the Honorable Peter Tosh. And it gives me great pleasure to be the co-host of tonight's program, along with my lovely co-host, Krista Gay, songster, who will be coming to the floor very soon. But first of all, I just want to say that the Department of Sociology, Psychology, and Social Work, which I represent, have been presenting this Peter Tosh Symposium from way back from 2010. But this program actually was started by Warrell King and Professor Clinton Hutton way back in 2001, so I want to also pay tribute to those people who started and really pioneered the Peter Tosh Symposium, which in a way followed the Bob Marley lecture, which I'm sure all of you who've been to the February event have known also about the Bob Marley lecture. But some of us thought that Peter Tosh still didn't get his due regard, the due respect that was due to him in comparison to Bob Marley. Some people may beg to differ, but I believe that's still the case. He made a great contribution not only to the musical industry, to reggae music in general, but also in his pioneering statements to the herb, his advocacy for the herb, advocacy for equal rights and justice, and his general message to the populace, to the world population. Peter Tosh had a message which was very sharp, it was very bitter for some people, but it was a necessary medicine. You know, sometimes the medicine is bitter, but sometimes it's necessary, you know. But having said that, I want, with further ado, to introduce my lovely co-host for tonight's proceedings from the Department of Sociology, Psychology, and Social Work, none other than Krista Gay, songster. Let's give it up for Krista Gay.
Evening, everybody. All Peter Tosh fans, friends, family, good evening. So when me say Peter, I want to say Tosh. Peter. So when I say Peter, you say Tosh. Peter. All right, big up on yourself. You know, when it comes down to Peter, there's so much that we can say, but there's a saying that goes, when words fail, music speaks. And that's what Peter music does. Peter music in and of itself is universal. And it speaks a language that crosses every border, right? Crosses every border, whether it's race, whether it's class, culture, it crosses that border, don't it? And it speaks a language that, you know, everybody can interpret, you know, a language of its own then, should I say. All right, so there's no comparison. I heard Dr. Barnett speaking to comparing Peter Tosh to Bob and not getting his, you know, rightful, you know, highlight. But I wish not to compare him with Bob, but Peter in his own right. I believe in establishing Peter's legacy. We ought to follow suit with what Peter stood for, right? Peter in his own right is a hero of the music, spoke to social issues, spoke to love. Almost every issue that you can think of, Peter music spoke to that, all right? So while we go into, you know, the discourse of Peter Tosh celebrating his birthday, celebrating his legacy, you know, and in right speaking truth to what Peter was about and his music was about. Let us just, you know, open up our minds, our hearts, and I hope for the younger generation that we can appreciate what Peter really stands for and see how much it's relevant to today's issues. All right, without further ado, I'm going to welcome the man, the head of the Department of Sociology, Psychology, and Social Work, Dr. Orville Taylor. Ladies and gentlemen, help me to welcome him.
In as much as this is a university function and they like to do formal protocols, I always get in trouble when I say, you know, let me start, enumerate and elaborate as to who is who and who. You know, so let me just say, one love. Good evening, because I was raised by my mother and grandmother and things. So we say good evening. You know, in the Jamaican language, good evening. And bearing in mind the fact that this is, although it is local, it is international. I know that we have international people here. I don't know how many other linguistic groups are represented here, but let me say bonsoir, buenas tardes. Yeah? How you doing? You okay? Hi. I have this American accent that I'll take out of my pocket too. If you want that one, I use it when I'm in the States so that I can be understood. Anyways, one love. It is my privilege and my great pleasure to welcome you all to this great event, the Peter Tosh Symposium. You know, Mike, when the idea first came some years ago, my colleague, Michael, and Michael and I go a long way back. I can't believe, Michael, we have been friends 23 years we have been friends, right? So when Michael came here, we kept on talking about the symposium. And ultimately, it has become a staple. And me, I think you all know, you know, I'm the man in black, I wear a lot of black. And if you ask me which of the whalers I prefer, I think you all know who I prefer. Now, I'm not going to take the opportunity of saying who is better or greater or whatever. I'm talking about the one who has had a greater impact on me. You see, we're sociologists and anthropologists and we are behavioral scientists. And Peter Tosh, now in retrospect, because I'm rewinding to the time when I was a high school boy at St. George's College, and I was going to school in the morning. Follow me a little bit and endure me a little bit. And I didn't even realize that there was this very, very deep sociology in the work of Peter Tosh. Follow me. I remember one morning, just daylight saving time, sneaking out of my house. I had to smile because, you know, I was much darker than this in high school. So I could see myself. And I remember listening on RGR, yes, at the time it was on the AM band. And I heard the voice of this man. And it was played over and over again. You can't blame the youth of today. You can't blame the youth. You can't fool the youth. And when you in sociology and this, you know, the academy, we talk about, we deconstruct things. And when you deconstruct the song, you know, you tell the youth about Christopher Columbus, this big idiot who got lost. And we say that he was a very great man. You talk about Morgan the pirate, say he was a very great man. You follow me? All of these great men were robbing, raping, kidnapping, and killing. So you can't blame the youth. Now, how powerful is the sociological message there? And then later on, you know, as my research developed and I started to focus on things like human rights and labor relations and, yeah, decent work, etc., everyone is crying out for peace. No one's crying out for justice. And would you believe, and I hope that you might have read my book, but it's still available, a few of them. I'm not trying to sell it, no. They're on the shelf. But the money already. But seriously, I show that there was this very strange, maybe counterintuitive, maybe it's too easy, relationship between the indecent work, the poor way that we have been treating workers in this country, and the crime rate. As a matter of fact, at the Mona Academic Conference in 2000, I didn't want it to be a prophecy, but I did make the prediction that there is a very strong correlation between the levels of social violence on the one hand and the way in which we have failed to solve the problems of the Morat Bay Rebellion. Are you following me? The echo of Peter Tosh has always resonated in my mind. And so while people talk about all the other things, but yet, I still love the soft side of Peter Tosh because we have to love, because we understand that. And so I also recall this cry for unity, but different kinds of unity. The kind of romantic unity as well. But the way forward in the strong Peter Tosh legacy, you know, if you put your hand in mine and we put our troubles behind and we walk and not look back. We have a number of interesting presentations here this afternoon. Some excellent individuals. I see Dr. Omar Davies. How are you, sir? Welcome. I see Dr. Dennis Howard. Welcome. I see Clyde Mackenzie. There's a nickname we call him in high school. I can't tell them. Then we used to call him Ratos. As in the rat. Yeah. I said Jimmy Moss Solomon. And you know what? I better stop. Because people going to tell me how much I don't call out nobody name and thing. Don't it's true? Right. Because the truth is, everybody equal anyway. It's just that I recognize some people more than anybody else because I know you more. All right? So let me say welcome. Put on your seatbelts. Enjoy the ride. You're in for a great evening. Bless you.
Thank you, a man of many words. No single verb can be used to describe Dr. Taylor. And it's the same thing for Peter Tosh. There is no single word to describe his work or his music. And I'm going to ask you in the audience this evening, when I think about Tosh, because I understand say Tosh fans them they here, and friends and families and persons familiar with his work and his music. When I think about Tosh, what are some of the words that comes to mind? Strength. All right, sister. Anybody else? Rebel. I love that one. The radical artist. Integrity. Sister, what do you mean by integrity? Tell me, when it relating to Tosh. All right. See him some. I love that one day. All right.
All right. Before we go there, Krista, I want the representative from the Cannabis Research and Rastafari Studies Center to come and bring greetings. Asante, amen. You hear, my brother? Yes. Just bring greetings for us, my brother. Yes. Yeah, all right.
Yes. Give thanks, one another. I just bring small greetings from the Rastafari Studies Center. Sure, look at me, I just want to read it in honor of the Stepping Razor. So the Rastafari Studies Center is honored to participate in this tribute to a Jamaican icon and in no small way a global legend. More than 4 decades ago, Peter Tosh undertook the mandate to be a voice, a critical teacher, a healer, and champion through his work for the cause of the regular people, his and by extension, their rights and civil liberties. For his stance, he was considered defiant and perhaps even irrational as he consistently asserted the cause of ordinary people everywhere. He journeyed, and especially their connections to the healing herb. 4 decades later, the world has come to acknowledge that Tosh was right in his defiance on many matters, and in particular, the matter of ganja. The Jamaican state has moved forward on what is now a ganja bandwagon, without a formal word of apology or restorative justice, even symbolically, to Brother Peter Tosh, or the movement for which he had been a leading voice. More importantly, more than 4 decades ago, he declared the need to legalize it, and himself ready to be the minister of the ganja agenda. Well, we can see that although Jamaica has not embraced the fullness of his message, we can see his wisdom unfolding in Uruguay and just this week in Canada. Hence, there is urgent need for not just engagement, but also the application of the thought of those who, through their knowledge of the struggle, have offered solutions. As we speak, there are 2 courses being developed jointly with the Rastafari Studies Center and the Institute for Caribbean Studies on Peter Tosh, to avail students to the archive of Tosh's intellectual activism, We are thankful for the works that symposia such as these ritualizes in bringing the evidence to the organic folk thinker about the process of nation building. So as we celebrate this month here called Heroes Month, and we celebrate our heroes, I just want you to reflect that this brethren too, a champion of the people, a champion of the cause, is a hero also, the people's hero. So it is with extreme pleasure that we welcome you all to this evening's vibrations to celebrate the life, works, and legacy of the stepping razor, Brother Peter Tosh. Give thanks and praise.
I'm like a stepping. All right. Thank you very much, Asante Amen. A beautiful singer, might I add. Been a fan of you for a long time. All right. So let me take this time to apologize for some of our guests that are absent at this time. I also welcome Dr. Michael Barnett to introduce our next guest speakers.
Yes, thank you, Krista. Unfortunately, Sister Nyambe Tosh is running late, so we are going to change some of the ordering in the program and go right ahead with our first speaker. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome as our first speaker none other than Dr. Dennis Howard, who many of you know as not only a man who's hands-on in the music industry here in Jamaica, but also a musicologist in and of himself. Dr. Dennis Howard has written several books, one of them being Ranting in the Dance Hall. I don't know if he brought any copies along with him, but it is available in our bookstore right here on the UWI campus. And it's a good read, actually. And I must say that Dr. Howard, has drawn, let's say, some, media about either his love or his hate of dancehall and so forth and so forth. But you will find, I'm sure after this presentation, how rounded he is in his perspective on the reggae industry and the growth of Jamaican popular music in general. And that's one of the reasons why I invited him to speak, because I think overall he has a well-rounded perspective. But that is for you to judge, nonetheless. Without further ado, let me give the platform to Dr. Dennis Howard.
Thank you, Dr. Michael Barnett. I want to do. Respect, Doc. Not you, Arville, was elder statesman. The man before we. The man who paved the way before us. Delia, how you doing? Kim, where you there? I see you. All right. Janine, big up. All right. Warm, happy, political, male vocals. You wonder where I get this title from. It's actually a descriptor of one of his albums. And I found it very interesting that they would have described Tosh, warm, happy, political, male vocal. So the many voices of Peter Tosh. Now, in our Western philosophy of music and creativity, we have this notion of the individual creative genius who go up in the hills and get inspired and go alone with him guitar and make this great music. And we have perpetuated that myth in a way in the Jamaican context. And even some of our artists will tell you, oh, well, I went up in the hills to meditate and get inspiration. And the favorite question that a lot of journalists ask entertainers, especially if they're reggae and dancehall, especially reggae, what inspires you? Where did you get your inspiration? And them come up with some nice flowing BS as to what it is. Because it is my contention that in Jamaica and even in Western popular music production, it is not an individual genius that creates this music. It is a collective. It is drawing from the experiences of your surrounding and getting the inspiration. In fact, the genius that you manifest sometimes is there before you. And we have to understand that. And I'm going to use the work of Tosh to explain this. Now, Tosh, just like Marley, just like most of the people that grew up and came up in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, were influenced by a plethora of genres and influences. Now, as a colonial society, you know, we were inundated with the music of Britain, Europe, and America. We took a particular liking to the black music, and that has influenced us significantly. And a lot of people love to portray Peter Tosh as this person who is militant and political, and that's it. No true artist is one-sided. And Peter Tosh is a true artist. And I'm going to move on to show you why Peter Tosh is a broad-based artist influenced by all kinds of things. One of the first music that influenced Peter Tosh and the Wailers and others was rock and roll music. And I'm going to play the first song, which is a rock and roll song. Chuck Berry.
Deep down in Louisiana, close to New Orleans, way back up in the woods among the evergreens, there stood a log cabin made of earth and wood, where lived a country boy named Johnny B. Good, who never ever learned to read or write so well, but he could play a guitar just like a ringing a bell. Go, go!
Go, Johnny, go. A lot of people don't realize that this is a song that Peter covered. Same song.
Close to Mandeville, back up in the woods and top of a hill, there stood an old hut made of earth and wood. There lived a country boy named Johnny B. Good.
Drawing from his influence of that 50s era, he remembered that song that he probably performed a lot of time and rehearsed to. And this was in the 1980s, he produced Mama Africa, and Johnny B. Good was one of the songs that he performed. Now, I call him the rocker, because out of the Wailers, I see as the biggest influence outside for the Wailers, Peter Tosh was the man who was considered the rocker for me. Bonnie Wailer was the R&B soul man. And interestingly for me, Marley was the blues man. And if you listen to Marley's song, you hear it. Cold bed was my bed last night, and rock was my pillow too. That's a blues lyrics. Moving along. Peter got soul. If you notice, you see the Temptations and the Impressions. Notice the similarity in the pose. So the Wailers were influenced by a lot of soul music, the Impressions and the Temptations. Temptations influenced every artist back in that era. I would go as far as to say, if there was a way for us to give a national honor or any recognition of anybody from outside our music, it would be Curtis Mayfield, because he has influenced our music in a significant way. Now, listen to this song. Oh, sorry.
If it's love that you're running from, there's no hiding place. Can't run, you can't hide, you can't run. Love has problems, I know, but they're problems we'll just have to face. Oh yeah.
If you just put your hands in mine. Dear Marley and the Wailers with Peter Tosh as the lead singer.
If it's love that you're running from, there's no hiding place.
Can't run, can't hide, can't run.
Just your problems and nobody's problems. You just have to face.
In my work, I talk about the creative echo chamber, and one of the facet of the creative echo chamber is repetition. And we use repetition in our popular music production in a very significant way. And what we also do is in the repetition that we do, is when we have a good song, we sing it over and over and over again. That was the practice of the Marleys, the Toshes, and the Bunny Whalers, and other artists, Gregory Isaacs, all of them. So he recorded this song, a cover of the Temptation song, and then here, again, for the EMI album.
That you're running from, there is no hide.
This time with Mick Jagger.
Just your problems, no one else's problem. You just have.
Okay, so Peter got soul. He's also a lover.
That's exactly what we gonna shoot.
Make it good, make it good. Sugar.
You are so beautiful. You are so wonderful. And you can make your dreams, make them come true.
You must be everything. I can still laugh and sing.
All right, Peter.
If you wanna live, treat me good. I said, if you wanna live, treat me good. Yeah. I'm like a walking razor, don't watch my side. I'm dangerous.
Dangerous. Now, this song is synonymous with Peter Tosh. But it's just a strange thing in the lyrics. He says, I'm a walking razor, don't watch my size. Anybody ever see Peter Tosh? Why would he be asking anybody about his size? Because he's about 6'6". You see? The story behind that song, it was written and first recorded by his teacher, Joe Higgs. Joe Higgs recorded this song for the Festival Song Competition in 1967. When it was submitted, they said, hey, this is a great song, but not for festival. Peter recorded it with the Wailers.
If you wanna live, treat me good. If you wanna live, treat me good. I'm like a walking razor, don't watch my size, I'm dangerous.
Dangerous. And again, consistent with the repetition, he recorded it again. Oh. All right, let me sort this out.
If you wanna live, treat me good. I said, if you wanna live,
Oh, by the way, Joe Higgs was a very diminutive person, so that's why I'm saying, don't watch my size.
my side, I'm dangerous.
All right, so Wailers.
If you wanna live, treat me good. If you wanna live, treat me good. I'm like a walking razor, don't watch my size, I'm dangerous.
Dangerous.
If you wanna live,
Repetition again. You have a good song, work it and work it and work it again.
wanna live, I beg you treat me good. I'm like a walking razor, don't you watch my size, I'm dangerous. Said I'm dangerous. I'm like a walking razor, don't you watch my size, I'm dangerous.
Dangerous. We're moving along. Peter Tosh was many things. I said pastiche because pastiche is when you imitate people that you admire. And Joe Higgs was the person who taught the Wailers how to sing. And he was, at several points, a member of the Wailers, even when they had some international exposure. So we're moving on to a side of Peter that sometimes we forget. I prefer to call him a sage because what he's talking about is how some people stay, the levity. Sorry for Margadog, them turn around bite you. Him kind of, being showing some word, but it's a proverb too. And again, repeating the cycle. This is in the 70s now.
Turn around, bite you.
Jump on the frying pan.
You're bound to jump in a fire.
So, this was in the 70s in Jamaica. You have an album deal now, and you still have a good song. You're on EMI. So again, what you do? Record it again. The Virgin just mentioned Peter's work in terms of ganja. A bigger advocate for ganja you couldn't find.
Legalize it. Don't criticize it. Legalize it, yeah, and I will advertise it.
Yeah, this song, honestly, I don't know how this song missed me. I just discovered this song like a couple of years ago. And that's the beauty about music. You're not going to know everything, although you were around at the time. And I love this song in a serious way. Now go to jail for ganja.
I said me nah go a jail for ganja no more. I'm a nah go a jail.
And of course, the ultimate insult and strong advocacy for marijuana.
This your music, reggae music, as far as I can see. I see that this your music, reggae music, it's got a spell on me. This your music, Rasta music, as far as I can see. See, this your music, roots music, it's got a hold on me.
Of course, we know what the song is about. Light up your spliff, light up your chalice, and we'll smoke it in a Buckingham Palace. In fact, Alan Magnus got suspended for this song. 1 year when the Queen's message, when we used to carry the Queen's message, Alan had this brilliant idea to use Peter Tosh's song as the background music for while the Queen was speaking. So while the Queen was speaking, my husband and I, it's pure, light up your spliff, light up your chalice. got suspended immediately. However, it didn't last long because there was such a protest and uproar that in less than a week, Alan was back on the air. Now, I just brought you through a little journey about Peter Tosh, the many voices and the many sides of Peter Tosh. And I am a music person. I love music and I love artistry. And sometimes what we do is to straitjacket artists into one mold. And it's kind of wrong because when we do that, we don't get to appreciate the multifaceted side of a true artist. No artist is one-dimensional. If you're one-dimensional, you're not a true artist. All right? And in celebrating Peter Tosh, we have to celebrate all of him. In cantankerousness, in miserableness, in brilliance, his intelligence, in use of bad words, like bumbo clippings and shit stim and rasta clot. You know? Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Let's give him another round of applause, man. Yeah, man. So, you see what I say? Dr. Howard, enigmatic. Him know him thing, you know, and that was just a brief synopsis. Because I told him to keep it short and concise because the number of presenters we have here. But him could have lectured for 3-4 hours. Yeah, so don't underestimate this brother. I tell you that, see? And him not paying me for say this either. I'm saying it wholeheartedly. That's why I say, yeah, you have to come talk and give a perspective on Tosh. Because I know more about the industry and the history of the music and people realize. But right about now, we're going to keep the program moving. And you know that I am very glad that one of probably the longest speakers on this series, this lecture series of Peter Tosh, is someone that you probably know more as a politician or former politician, former Minister of Finance and former Minister of Transport and Works, and you know, stalwart member of the PMP. But what you may not realize, he is a Peter Tosh aficionado. He is a connoisseur and also more than a fan, but a real scholar. I regard him as a scholar of Peter Tosh, and he has the unique attribute of being the first person to speak on Peter Tosh and give a lecture on Peter Tosh at this campus itself. I believe this is way back in 1997. If Professor Carolyn Cooper was here, she could enlighten me. But the first Bob Marley lecture was in fact a Peter Tosh lecture given by Dr. Omar Davis himself. So he now has spoken several times on Tosh through the series, but it's by no accident because he has truly a deep knowledge and very insightful perspective on the Bush Doctor himself. And this is why we said, let's call on him again to give us another testament to the contribution and to the message, the man, the music, and so much about the musical maestro himself, Mr. Peter Tosh. So without further ado, can we give it up for Dr. Omar Davis to come and say some words on our musical icon, Peter Tosh. Give thanks, give thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Barnett. And I know that he said, come and say some words. I was thinking I'm singing, but no. I'll pass it away. First of all, let me, to Dennis, where is yes. All right. Excellent. I must commend you. And I'd hope that Janine would have come on before us, so I could just move the vote of thanks and Well, that's the only reason I'm not singing, because we didn't do a sound check. But let me greet everybody here. I don't know if members of the Tosh family are here. I'd like to especially hail them up. Okay, good. And all of you who are here, I must confess I am pleasantly surprised by the turnout, because we've done this so many times. And I protested to Dr. Barnett that it's time to bring some new faces in, which we have done to some extent. Is there something I'm doing wrong? Oh, okay. Keep it, okay. Dr. Barnett made reference to the lecture. Carolyn isn't here. Well, I'd like to just publicly commend her. Carolyn invited me to do a Bob Marley lecture on nearly 2 decades ago. And I decided to push the envelope. And so I did a lecture on Peter Tosh as the Bob Marley lecture. And a lot of persons were kind of, why did you do that? And how come you did that? And let me explain why, because I'm going to make some suggestions about what additional work which we need to do. I decided to do that deliberately. The first is that, let me indicate that I am a Wailers fan. I'm not into Bob Marley and the Wailers. I'm talking about the Wailers. That's Bob, Peter, and Bunny. The Wailing Wailers. I'm a Wailers fan. And then the work which they did as individuals. I collect, I listen. That sort of thing has kept my sanity for a long time. So I'm a Wailers fan. So all the plaudits which Bob has received, he deserves, and probably more. But it struck me that the reason I took that decision, and Carolyn supported me, was that we ran the risk of having the development of Jamaican pop music, and reggae in particular, defined totally in terms of Bob Marley. And that is bad for several reasons. The first good reason is that it's not true. There are so many other persons, and I see the Reggae Studies Department, they said there's need to be for work on John Holt, there's work on culture, there's work which you need to understand where this music is coming from. And I felt that even as we welcome the acclaim given to Bob, we have to ensure that not only the world, but we understood that this music was bigger than any one person, regardless of how great he was. The second reason I decided to do that lecture, not suggesting that I bring in any particular viewpoint there, but much of what you would consider the analytic work on reggae and reggae artists was being done by foreigners. And they commend that, that's good, and you can't lock yourself away. But the problem is that unless you have an understanding of the social and economic and political and cultural factors affecting a country and affecting the compositions, then much of what you describe a lot of time becomes mysticism and all that. So I felt it was time that we started doing our own analysis. And thirdly, a bit presumptuous, but I thought that it would shock the system, including my colleagues, if you had a Minister of Finance doing a lecture on Peter Tosh, who many persons just regarded as this ganja smoking, bad word cussing person. But just to present what I saw in terms of his lyrics, and I'd spent so many years listening closer to the lyrics that I felt that I would share this viewpoint. So to see the thing take off where persons have started appreciating some of the things which he advocated is something that really brings joy to my heart, that this has happened. And in the same way, I didn't want it just to happen for Bob. I want work to be carried out in terms, for example, Toots. Toots is from my neck of the woods. Toots is from Treadlight in Maypen. And I was fascinated once in an interview with Toots. He said, where you get your lyrics from? He spoke about his headmaster in elementary school, E.J. Whiteman. That's Burchell Whiteman's father. And I said, Burchell, when you reach a stage where Toots can heal you up, I mean, then you can become an E.J. But the point I'm making is, one of the point I'm making is that we need to know a lot about our people. Now, the final reason I did it is that, as I said, I'm a major fan of Tosh. I don't want to get into the debate, but I think that word, sound, and power at its height could give any band, I don't say reggae band, any band in the world a run for its money. If you listen to Buckingham Palace, it's something which, I think Mikey Chung was the major in that, but it is excellence, and I think it's something which we should recognize, that the music which was being produced by Tosh. Now, Tosh covered a range. Dennis made reference to some of it. In a sense, he may have seen my script before, but all right. Tosh over time became a really energetic and stage personality. One of the outstanding features about Tosh was that here was someone who took serious social issues, gave incisive commentary, you may not agree with all of it, and then packaged it in a popular music idiom. And there are very few persons who can make that. So Tosh wrote and sang about our educational system, not complimentary. That's what can't blame the youth is. And it's following the tradition of, Sparrow did it, Marley did it, but can't blame the youth apart from everything else, apart from the lyrics. The music is really amazing. He wrote about the police brutality. And one of the songs which hasn't got the ratings it should get is Mark of the Beast. And who could have thought that Mark of the Beast, in terms of the condemnation of police brutality, could not only still be relevant in Jamaica, but in the US, where, in a sense, the treatment of blacks with racial profiling reflects the same issues which Tosh was complaining about and singing about 30 years ago, more than three decades ago. And then there is the issue marijuana, or somebody who was abused because of his use and his defense, not just his use, because a lot of people are using it, but his public defense. And Dennis, I'm ashamed of you when you say you only heard Now Go to Jail a few years ago. It came out it's the last CD, No Nuclear War. Yeah, and that is 87, thereabouts. But he sang about marijuana, and now, even in terms of to whom credit is given for that movement, there's no one else you can think of who consistently and came back into it. As a matter of fact, at times people got tired of him and saying, when is he going to come out? My mother liked his music. My late mother liked his music. But said, he can't give up on this ganja thing. And I said, no, he really believes in it. He really believes it. And she didn't like the bad thing too. And then, yes. And then perhaps the one area where I don't think there's full recognition his fight against apartheid. There's greater recognition outside of Jamaica of that position than here. Think of it. And for the younger ones here, and the older ones who probably don't know it, the album Equal Rights, I consider one of the finest albums, not reggae album, one of the finest albums ever done. Music, the content. But what is particularly special about it for me is for a pop artist to risk taking on apartheid. You know, you have equal rights, you have apartheid. You have to taking on apartheid, which was then at least implicitly supported by all the major Western economies. South Africa was in the bosom of the US, UK, you know, as the English say, kith and kin. And for you to hope to sell an album dedicated to the fight against apartheid in that same market, you're taking them on. And it shows you a remarkable, his conviction and the extent to which he was willing, he would not compromise in this fight. And so that is in itself reflective of a remarkable man who not only understood issues, but was willing to risk his living and his livelihood by making it publicly known. You know, one of the a friend of mine who they talk about Tosh's sense of humor. A friend of mine who traveled with him to Grenada when the PRG was in power. And when Tosh arrived, Maurice Bishop was in the airport. He was going to meet some Ortega, right? And someone told Bishop that Tosh, and he went and said, "Greetings, comrade, welcome to Grenada." And Tosh said, "And I don't come red, I come black." So, now well, I mean, it's only because of Tosh why I forgive him for and I don't come red. But anyhow, but it is, you just think of the wit that someone could have immediately in one sentence capture what he was. Now, it's 3 decades since Tosh's death, and I just want to briefly, I know I've overdone my time, looked at the issues he fought for, he gave his life for. Carlin, you must tell them, they must tell you that I big you up as the person who bossed me in this thing. Yes? So I don't want to, I never want to praise you behind your back, in front of your face. All right. Now, 3 decades later, after Tosh's tragic death, and I want to make reference to 3 issues. 1, the crumbling of apartheid. As I regards the anti-apartheid struggle, persons worldwide, there was no one person or one organization. But Tosh was one of the most prominent artists to take a public strident position on the apartheid. And equal rights is, he could just hand out equal rights as his card. This is my position on apartheid. And the fact is that anecdotally I'm told that album and the lyrics for that album provided impetus for freedom fighters, because this represented a recognition that they were not in a fight alone. I'm not trying to give credit, sole credit to Tosh for the victory over apartheid, and there's more work to be done. But we know that his position was clear, and he took this. The truth is, Tosh took the anti-apartheid stance when many Jamaicans, I don't know, at all levels, including educated and all that, didn't even know what anti-apartheid meant. And he was there in that advocating his anti-apartheid position. Secondly, marijuana. Tosh's struggle is legendary, and in fact, for a long time, people saw that as his only struggle. But I never had the opportunity to ask him. But I believe that apart from defending it as a sacrament in his religion, I think he fought for it on the grounds of a right, of a right which no one should take away from you, to utilize a sacrament in your religious, so I would see it in a broader context than just to free up man to smoke herb, but the fact that he saw this as those with power seeking to exercise increased control over the rest of the people. And he never saw it all in his lifetime, but what has happened here in Jamaica, what has just happened in Canada, and I mean, can now peep out and say, the US have to recognize it sooner or later as in a legal quandary, because some states recognize it, so the question is, and the federal government doesn't, so how do you deal with it in that regard? So, but that Tosh had made his position clear, stuck by his position, and that which has occurred. But there's another side to it, and having spent so many years in representational politics, the number of young people, particularly men, I never knew whether women don't smoke herb or what, but particularly men, who's got a criminal record solely because they have been convicted for possession or smoking ganja. And for those persons to be, you can't right that wrong, or you can remove that stain, or you can stop the years it took off their lives in terms of opportunities. But that this won't happen again is a very important step in the civilizing of Jamaica, and I believe that Tosh will do. And I have to big up my brethren, Mark Golden, who carried that right through each of the steps. Somebody asked me whether Mark had a personal interest. I tell him that I don't, as long as what he does is something I support, and that I support. The final thing which I want to bring to your attention is that Tosh recorded religious music. I mean, there's no other way to describe creation. I don't know if any of you, next when you go home, since you don't have the record, I have the records. Listen to Rastafari is the last recording on captured live. It's 13 minutes long, but it's an amazing recording. It demonstrates everything, his musical skills, his vocal skills. But listen to it. And creation, again, is the work of a genius. Now, I am not going to now say because the Anglicans have recognized it. But it is significant, because you imagine can you conceive 30 years ago that the Anglicans in the Caribbean would have now incorporated creation in their hymnal under the title, Jah is my keeper. Keepa. And that must say that we have made progress. We have made progress that I wouldn't say the most conservative or one of the more conservative of our religious orders would now take on board a Peter Tosh composition and in the hymnal. It's well, I can say I'm not an Anglican, but I went to an Anglican school, the most important and significant Anglican school. Anyhow, in Clarendon, in the world. But anyhow, but to put it mildly, they need to put some more life into their hymnal, and I think that Jah is my keeper is the first step. But that represents a third era, that his without making any compromises in terms of his religious commitments. He has forced others who would have been critical to now accept him for what he is. So in conclusion, I have briefly looked at some of the issues which have occupied Peter Tosh and his compositions. I mean, when Michael told me about that you're going to have Jana, you're going to perform and all that? No? Why come here solely because that's what you're going to... Anyhow. So I had planned to do one of the things where I do snippets and so on, but first of all, I said to them, those of you who haven't heard it and so on, listen, get hold of Equal Rights and listen to it in its totality. I put that with Natty Dread and with Marvin Gaye's What's Going On as the three albums that are out of league with anything else. But listen to it. So I briefly review the changes which have taken place in terms of concerns of Tosh. And I've also sought to examine the changes which have taken place in terms of those three areas, in terms of anti-apartheid struggle, in terms of legalization of marijuana, in terms of the music. But what do we need now? Clearly, they don't let us feel satisfied. There are still issues of social inequalities and inequities which must be tackled. As I said before, recently I saw where Thomas Smith, I see a young lady wondering, Thomas Smith. Thomas Smith is one of the greatest 200-meter runners of all time, won the gold medal in '68. And there's iconic thing of him and John Carlos on the podium taking a position, and he was hailing Colin Kaepernick because because of his stance about taking a knee while the U.S. anthem is being played. In a strange way, Kaepernick is carrying on Tosh's struggle against police brutality, and in a sense, you can't segment brutality, Jamaican brutality or anything, wherever people are being brutalized. It's not just for those located in that environment. It's of concern for everyone. And Tosh had this wider view of the world. So there are issues which must still be challenged. There must be, the status quo has to be challenged when it's wrong. And we, the new generation, mustn't just see the work as being over. And I remember when I first gave that lecture with Stephen Dennis. And Dennis, he asked me about the music of the present, and I say anything which denigrates women and promote gun violence and so I can't accept, I can't really relate to. And he said, I'm a man of the past, living in the past. Anyhow, but I think he has got a little old and has changed his position in that regard. But the new set of artists, that's why I say I welcome your present, Janai. You have to identify, your issues won't be the same as Peter's issues, but you have to identify those things which fly in the face of what's just and what's right, and then take them on with your lyrics and your music. And if Peter would have left us with that legacy for you to carry through, that it is. Thank you very much.
Yes, man. Let's give him another round of applause, please. Yes, yes. So, multiple perspectives on Peter, and it's really, really mystical. Oh, Dr. Omar Davis mentioned equal rights because, see my copy here? Yeah, man, this is my favorite album, you know what I mean? A whole lot there. And in fact, now you have popularize it, more for, make sure we secure that, you know what I mean? But yeah, but don't travel anywhere without this in terms of listening music. But we really want to also give credence to Bush Doctor, because this is 40 years since Peter released Bush Doctor, 78. Me remember that, Yeah, man. The Bush Doctor. And, for any ailments and sickness and so forth, the herb is a real tonic for all of that. And the reality is that it's strange how things come to pass, that the thing that was once denigrated and rejected is now being embraced by multi-corporations and different nations all over the planet, and we here in Jamaica still struggling to free up the herb. Because the truth is, we're not independent. That's another issue we have to look upon. There are enough people here who would love to see it free up, but one of the questions we need to ask, and this is an apt time, we see Canada has legalized herb now, is we now are afraid of sanctions that will be imposed upon us. And we are in such a fragile situation. We have a bit iron and wooing and teetering on the tightrope. Where Canada can say, we want to free it up, with us free it up. Not have to worry about sanction and all that, because them is Canada, I'm a powerful country, powerful nation. But I'll put it to you is that if we, as Africans, really came together and united, and we had a Pan-African fraternity that Marcus Garvey envisioned, we could do what we want to do with the herb. We wouldn't have a business about what other nations say, but that is by and by. So right now, though, there's a group that I am looking to introduce, to give you a treat, and then getting themselves together backstage. And I hope that them basically, not making too fine a point of it. But this group, they performed last year. And I'm speaking to a group, much of the talent coming from UA. And Brother Hugh Dowse, I have to give him credit for nurturing the talent of this vocal group. I'm talking about Nexus, yes, you know who I'm talking about. And Nexus, have a distinction of really showing what the human voice is capable of. And they performed 2 beautiful songs last year. And we're looking forward to that same kind of musical energy. So without further ado, let's welcome Nexus to the floor. And Soundman, I hope we can activate these microphones here so we can get a musical treat.
Check. Check.
The man Peter Tosh is an ancestral voice. He carries with him a lot of echoes from Africa and a lot of spiritual echoes as well. So in the set that we're going to be doing now, we want to explore a little bit of the African voice, and then get into the conversation, and he's a part of a conversation that maybe has not been going on in the way that he would have hoped that would have been carried on. But the conversation sometimes is pushed forward by what Babylon does. When Babylon forces your hand, oh, it'll work, okay. When Babylon forces your hand, it forces you to have a response. Let me make sure you see it. Yeah. I work too well. All right. All right. So. Sholoza. Sholoza.
Shosholoza kule suntaba simela sifumbe Jamaica. Shosholoza kule suntaba simela sifumbe Jamaica. Shosholoza kule suntaba simela sifumbe Jamaica. When we are baleka, aye, oh simela. When we are baleka, aye, 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 simela. Shosholoza kule zontaba. Shosholoza aye simela. When we are baleka, aye simela. When we are baleka, aye simela. Shosholoza kule zontaba simela sifume Jamaica. Shosholoza kule zontaba simela sifume Jamaica. Thank you. Put your hands together for the wonderful young people of Jamaica. Nexus Performing Arts. Yeah, go get it. We just came back from New York City on tour, did a two-borough tour of Queens and Brooklyn, and we're very, very intrigued by the way in which the conversation that Jamaica has to give to the world is still even more so current with things that are happening in other spaces. And Shosholoza for us is that spirit of the South Africa fight that Jamaica was right up there with them during the fight against apartheid. And the world knows that as our pedigree, and when we go out a road, they expect it of us, even when we're not up to time with the conversation. So we have to get up to the time. The next one is a song which deals with everyday livity. We did it last year, and we think that this is the space for that song. We're going to run it again. It's a song about the way in which the individual, Peter Tosh was about the individual and his place in the wider world. As concerned as he was with the corporate, he was concerned and knew the Ubuntu reality that I am because we are. So this song is just talking about the well-being of the I.
myself up, dust myself off, start all over, start all over.
Sitting in the morning sun and watching all those birds passing by. Oh, they make me sit and think and make me wonder why. And I try, yes, I try. I try, I really try, but I gotta pick myself up, dust myself off, start all over again. Yes, I gotta pick myself up and dust myself off and start all over again. Sitting in the evening sun and watching those same birds passing by as they go back home from where they come from. Oh, and I just wondering how this world's passing by, and I try, yes, I try, I really try, I gotta pick myself, oh, and dust myself off, start all over again. Yes, I gotta pick myself up and dust myself off, start all over again. Your time to sing it now. Start all over again. One more time, you gotta, and we've got to, and start all over. Start up one more time now. We gotta pick yourself up, dust yourself off, black people. We gotta start all over again. We're gonna pick myself up. Oh, I gotta dust myself off. Start all over again. Thank you. The last two quick things we're gonna do are a conversation. I said conversation. Peter Tosh has been a part of a conversation. And the conversation has created a stir in the heart of what used to be the representative worldview of the hegemonies that have kept us down. Religion was used badly by many, and now the return, a resistance, a religious evangelization in reverse, like how Miss Lou talked about colonization in reverse, has been done from the ground up by people like Tosh. We want to just do one verse of one man who has continued that conversation, and then we just go into Tosh's music with it.
Sing, our Father, who art in Zion, hallowed be thy name. Thy
me the quiet waters by. My soul thou art restore again, and me to walk doth make within the paths of righteousness, even for his name's sake. Yet though I walk through death's dark vale, yet will I fear no ill. Thy rod and staff, they are with me, they surely comfort still.
Our Father, who art in Zion,
Who art in Zion, hallowed, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, O Lord, thy will be done on earth. Hallowed, hallowed be thy name.
Jah is my health and my strength. So whom shall I fear? He is a shield upon my right and my left hand. So of whom shall I be afraid? And Jah is my health and my strength. So whom shall I fear? He is my guide when I step out and forward in. So of whom shall I be afraid? For
Jah is my keeper.
Jah is my guide from the pestilence of darkness. So whom shall I fear? He is my guide from that old vampire of hell. So of whom shall I be afraid? For Jah is my keeper. Jah is my light and my salvation. So whom shall we fear? He is my guide throughout this creation. So of whom shall I be afraid? For Jah is my keeper. Yes, Jah is my keeper. Jah is my keeper. God bless you all. God bless you.
Yeah, well, what do we say? Wasn't that beautiful? Wasn't that an experience? That's why I really asked him to come. And that song, you know, Creation, Jah is my keeper, I tell you, really, I'm sure, touch each and every one. Touch each and every one. That's to show you the genius of Tosh, you know. Yeah, and the musicianship, you know, he did a lot of the arranging in that one. Anyway, right now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker on the forum. And she has studied at this institution for several years. She did an undergraduate degree in psychology and human resources management. And in fact, I came to know none other than Janine, aka Janine Cunningham, while she was here at UWI. And one of the reasons I must tell you that I asked her to come and speak at this forum was, in my mind's view, she embodies the spirit of Peter Tosh, you know. In my mind's view, not only is she conscious and undeniably fearless, assertive, but she's also articulate. And also, very importantly, symbolizes the baton being passed from the reggae era of the 70s, which many of us see as the classic age, to continue with that roots reggae tradition of the present. They're known as the reggae revivalists. I don't know to what extent the various artists embrace that term, but call them reggae revivalists, call them, you know, the reggae ambassadors of today. It's important they're keeping reggae music alive. And I'm talking about reggae, you know, the roots reggae tradition. And I think that's important. And I think that Peter Tosh and Bob Marley's and so forth would be happy to see that that element of Jamaican popular music is still being kept alive. Because it is a very important, that is what really put Jamaica on the map, globally, culturally, I would argue. Some may beg to differ. But it's important that we keep that element of the music alive. That's what Jamaica has been well known for. But anyway, without further ado, let us give a round of applause for our next speaker, Janine. Janine.
Give thanks, give thanks. Greetings to the youth in particular. Give thanks for being here. To all the other important people, big up on yourself. I greet you in the mighty name of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I and Empress Menin I of Ethiopia. Yes, I'm not here in a tertiary educated capacity, nor am I here in an industry expert capacity either. You have been fully briefed on who he was, what he did, and each of you, the mere fact that you are here means he must have meant something to you as well. So I was given a lot of leeway to speak about whatever I wanted to, right? So if you have a question, a serious question, you can Google it or ask one of the experts present. No. All right, so make your notes, do your own research, yeah. And disclaimer, I apologize if anyone is going to be offended. Yeah, but I start by talking about His Imperial Majesty. Many look down on the Rastaman for his veneration of the king, right? While they blindly follow the traditions of the church that they inherited. True? All right. One might call that irresponsible or even mental sloth. It didn't take much research for me to find out many things about Judeo-Christianity and organized religion and determine that that was not the path that was going to lead me to self-realization or actualization. It was an important stepping stone. The church provides that which is very, very hard to find: community, a sense of oneness and purpose and a sense of reverence for that which is beyond self. We give thanks for that. But we must not be limited to that small container. Yes? All right. Now, we also have to acknowledge that the Rastaman has endured quite a bit over the years. In the time of Tosh's, walking and treading this earth, I cannot imagine that we'd see so many people sporting locks and sister locks and fancy locks. And, I heard of stories where police grab Rastaman with hanger by them hair and ripping out locks out of them head. Yes? And that is the least of the stories that I will mention, or that I have been privy to. And so now when it is a fashion thing, it is really, really important to identify that this whole movement is beyond locks. It is beyond the superficial. As beautiful a man as he was in the physical, black and tall and strong and strapped in, yeah, he represented so much more. Now, we live in a society, this Jamaica in particular, where a man like Buster Manty is made a national hero. Yeah? We live in a society where, during that time, an organization of people led by a brilliant visionary decided they were going to practice that which Marcus Garvey spoke of: self-reliance and sustainability and community and social economy and all of these things. And what happened? We know about Pinnacle? All right. Persecution ongoing to this day. Why? Because we look too black and we remind them of Africa. And so it is a shame. You have to fix up your ear. Oh, you have the locks, but you can't do something with the roots. You know, to say your ear won't do. These kind of things. Yes? Enough said. Now, I also think it is irresponsible for the youth not to be taught about His Majesty in schools. Just as they're taught about all of the villains that they, glorify in the textbooks, and all of these rapists that came from Europe and all of these terrible things that were done to our people. We are not taught about His Imperial Majesty. It's almost a side note, and here in Jamaica, the level of hypocrisy is ridiculous. So you see people, everybody talking about, oh, the ganja now, and and my children are all about, and all of this, and you will look at it, and it is, yeah. So we're not forgotten. I forgive me. I'm gonna keep it on though. Yeah. So we have to acknowledge that which is looked down upon by our very own Jamaicans. Because trust me, I don't get love in Jamaica like how I get it out there, and that is a whole other topic. Tonight is about Peter Tosh. But we have to understand that the source of our confidence as Jamaicans, you cannot take the king out of that. You cannot take His Imperial Majesty out of our source of confidence and why we shine and stand out in the world. Right? Now, Christianity, we're a Christian nation. Wow. Yeah, Christianity which subjugated us 6 days of the week and give us Bible on a Sunday. All right, yeah. Neither education nor religion has prepared our youth. I'm so happy you are here. I'm so happy the young people are here. And I really hope that you take it as a charge. I am so happy iNation is parked up outside with all of those books. Please go and stand outside and go and look and read and find out a few things about the king. Yes, his autobiography. The king took his own time to write his own script, his own biography, to ensure that his words were delivered as close to the truth as possible. Please take the time and go and read it. His speeches, all of these things. Yes? All right. That is the king. Next, I want to talk about the herb. Now, to not know about the benefits of ganja in 2018 is also grossly irresponsible. Yes? Again, I apologize if anyone is offended. I have had family members who have passed away because of cancer. My brother died when I was 8 years old, before I learned about ganja. right? And so now as an adult, I unapologetically say that if you give your parents or your loved ones or whomever it is that you know to be suffering from this disease, if you allow them to take chemotherapy or other types of evasive therapies like that, you are cruel. You are cruel. Chemotherapy is poison. The research is there. You are irresponsible if you are subjecting your family and loved ones to chemotherapy. I do not apologize for that. Right? No. Ganja is a homeostasis regulator. What does that mean? College-educated people. That means that ganja teaches your body how to heal itself. So if you have any type of carcinoma in your body, right? If you subject that cancer to ganja, you don't have to effuse your skin, or even if you don't know where it is, you just have to take it internally. It will do the work. It will teach your brain how to understand what's going wrong and fix it. And I put a challenge to you. Within 4 months, if you are able to use the ganja oil, right? I mean, even in the simplest form, even if you can't get high-tech and, study here at the university and learn how to do it without any solvents or anything. Even if it's just the crude 1 pound of ganja, 1 gallon of a solvent like Jankrabati, very, very high proof rum, right? If you can use those two, I will teach you how to break it down. You break down the herb till it is as broken down as possible. Yes, you take that pound of herb, put it in a container, pour the gallon of solvent on the herb, swish it around. You don't want to leave it for too long because it's just the medicine you try to draw out. You know, try to draw out the chlorophyll and the greens and so on. Then you take that, pour it in some cheesecloth, squeeze it out. All of that solvent is now brown or gold, depending on the strain that you use. That solvent now, take it, pour it in a rice cooker, right? Set it on a medium and just make it go and bubble down for a few hours. You see, when it bubble down, it go and bubble down till it reach to a thick oil. That oil, right? 1 pound should give you about 50 milliliters. Yes? Take your syringe, because them have 50 milliliter syringe. Pull up the oil in the syringe. That syringe, yes? Give it to your relatives who are suffering. Let them take about the length of a rice grain 3 times a day for about 3 to 4 months, because that 50 milliliter is about the dosage for that time period. Yes? When you do that now, then we have another conversation, right? And then we see what is really true and really real in this world, right? All right. So, I'll tell you. We can't forget the history. And we cannot help but be appalled at the reality of the priority, of the order of prioritization that our government is deciding to take where it comes to this regulation or legalization or decriminalization of ganja. Like, it is almost offensive. But hey, we're really, really happy, as you said, that, people don't get police records anymore. Hey, that's definitely a step in the right direction. You know what I mean? A very small infant step, but a step nonetheless. We have to acknowledge that. Big up all who responsible for that. Mark Golding is a brilliant man. He invited me to a meeting once. I wondered why. And yeah, so we can't forget, right? 2015 is when they finally finished paying off slave owners for losing their cattle. You didn't know that? So up to this 15. Yeah, man, go look it up. So, the source of our optimism, however, is not in our government, which is irreplaceable. It is in our people. It is in our youth. It is in all the potential of the young minds to go seek beyond what they have been taught and to challenge that which has been drilled into them, if not beaten into them. So big up on yourself, youths. You are the future. We are counting on you. We are counting on you. I haven't been a youth in a while, but I big up all of the youths. Yes. So, now to Tosh. Peter Tosh is my favorite whaler, unapologetically. He always has been. As I remember as a young girl, I grew up in Trelawney, and if anybody knows about like Falmouth, Trelawney, that is like a serious revolutionary free village kind of space. That is not like town. That is like, you see me, every month there's some black celebration, and we're very aware of the free villages, and we love black down there. This display you had that seemed so novel, and woo, that was commonplace when I grew up. When Hurricane Gilbert came and waters rise because we were below sea level, the community immediately knew what to do. All of the youths were taken up to one particular elder's house. All of the brethren went down to help the houses that were like, this is how we live. This is the Jamaica I know. It's only when I come to town I realize, yeah man, this is not Jamaica, this is foreign. I saw foreign people go on. But again, I digress. So, I give thanks for Peter. I give thanks for him, and I grew up loving to see black people, right? My father is what Jamaicans would call a brown man. Yeah, but I didn't see him that way when I was growing up. And I am the blackest child of my family. And he always made it a point to make me feel extra special about that. It's not until I come to Kingston when I was 9 years old that I realized, oh, so everybody else don't know that this is a special thing? That melanin and Africa and all of that? Like, wow! You know, and so that really challenged me. So when I see Peter Tosh now, obviously, the tallest, blackest of the bunch, he's going to stand out to me. And then when I hear his words sown, yeah, we all know. Yeah, we all know. So, he was a storyteller. He was a folk storyteller. If you listen to his words, it's like when you used to read, I don't know how many of you know that Jamaican folklore, a book that was full of Jamaican tales about Anansi and the White Witch of Rose Hall and all of those things. Like, when I listened to him, that's the kind of vibration I would get. Like, he was telling a story. So when you talk about, like, Sorry for Marga Dog and, you know, brand new second hand, it felt like village stories. I could connect with him more than I could connect with the fullness of that group, truly. As an artist, like, he must have had a really complicated and intricate internal mind space going on. Like, I mean, even in my own life, and just what I have to go through as a creator, and living in this world, and as a woman, because that is now the new struggle. Yeah, it's not just you're a black man or you're a Rasta man. Yeah, as a woman, yeah, man, we face it. We are never gonna stop facing it. So it's not about trying to overcome a system, it's about transcending it. So that is always the message. And for me, Peter Tosh, even though he wasn't speaking to women's rights in particular, I could take from it that which I needed to empower myself to say, yeah, be unapologetic. He was able to do that. He trod the earth this way. You don't have to apologize. That is the legacy that this man left for I. And I, as a reggae artist going out there into the world, I benefit greatly from his legacy, from the legacy of all of my elders who went before. So when I step onto a stage with my raga raga in my African clothes, before I even open my mouth, there is an expectation that I am going to be great. I am going to fill the hearts. This is the expectation. It is up to I to deliver. But this is the legacy that is left by ones like Peter Tosh and Bob Marley and Burning Spear and Cedric Myton and the Congos and all of them who have inspired us. Yes? Songs like You Can't Blame the Youth, like Dennis Howard, where are you? I give so much thanks for your presentation. I give so much thanks for all of your words. Brother Omar, I can call it that. Omar, big up yourself. Yeah? Yeah. I give so much thanks for your words as well. The youth need to hear these things. They need to know the context. But I stand up here as kindred to him. And I say, as an artist, it is hard sometimes to be fearless and to speak your truth. And I can only imagine at that time, 30 years ago, how seriously dangerous it might have been to speak your truth. So I give thanks for those who had the courage, in particular, our brother Peter Tosh. I can relate on many levels, yes? The reality of colorism among this current post-colonial ex-slave versus descendants of greatness and origin culture, yeah? You understand what I'm saying? Ex-slave versus descendants of greatness. All right. Peter Tosh was not a sex symbol. I mean, this is a fine specimen, but this is not what he was selling. He didn't have to sell it. A lie? All right. The man just stand up off in the shades in the corner and... All right. Enough said. And this is something that is true not only of him, but also of Bob Marley. And this is why I grew to respect Bob Marley over the years as well, is because in every interview, he mentioned the king. He put the king first. I don't know what was going on in his personal life, but when the mic turned on him, is the king. Yes, Peter Tosh, when the mic turned on him, the words I heard, I remember I watched a documentary. What name? Red? Redex. That, I put it to you. Youths, wanna watch it yet? Young people? Go look for it. Redex. It can't hide. 2018. And then we talk again. But all of these things come together to say, you know, I have been inspired by him. I have been inspired by His Imperial Majesty. I have been inspired by ganja. I am an advocate, a vocal, outspoken advocate for ganja. Unapologetically. And not from a smoke and get high, but from a this is how we are going to heal our bodies. This is how we are going to heal our economy. America is not going to give you the go-ahead. You have to take it, and if our leaders are afraid, then just do it yourself. Them say, what, 5 plants? Grow your 5 plants. They're coming to us with these models for dispensaries and all of that. None of that is culturally relevant to us. Rastafari is the model. It's set, right? And in closing, I say this. Sometimes it is best not to meet your heroes, you know? Sometimes it is best. I remember meeting many of the people who I held in very high esteem because of their music, in this reggae music over the years. And truly, they, you know, them not knowing me, I am nobody, and just how they reacted to me as woman, as black woman in the context, not selling them any sex. I see that. And it is a heartbreaking thing. It is truly. There are very few of my heroes, of my artist heroes or otherwise, that I've truly, you know, had a good first encounter with. Peter Tosh, I didn't know the man, obviously. But what I felt from him, I felt truly connected. And I think that's why we're all here, despite the fact that he's not given the accolades he's due. This is true. But we are here. And everybody who is a Peter Tosh fan kind of has this defensiveness. You notice? Like, Tosh would say. I connect with that. But I give thanks that we are allowed to live and inspire, that we have allowed him to live and inspire us, inspire our imaginations. This gigantic force that was Peter Tosh still lives on every time we are defiant, every time we speak our truth, and every time we stand up to injustice. And especially to my sisters, the struggle is real. And there is not a lot that is given or spoken of in terms of the role that the women in reggae music played coming up. They're either a background singer, or they're a background girlfriend, or they're a second-hand girlfriend, or they're a whatever and all of that. So while I do speak on Peter Tosh, I am given the platform, so I have to speak for my sisters as well. Ladies, sisters, mothers, daughters, aunties, you are worth it. You are special and important, and this whole thing will fall apart if you don't stand up in your power and regulate your brethren, regulate your communities, and regulate yourselves. Ashe, give thanks.
Yeah, man, let's give her another round of applause, Janine. Yeah. So what me tell you? Articulation. Well, don't know about the performance, but what I can tell you is that we'll have an interactive session with the speakers later on in the program. But what I want to do right now is just following with our last speaker, and very briefly, I want to say that this brethren, to me, represents the bush doctor in and of himself. You probably don't know that, but me see him as a bush doctor. A man, yeah, the spirit, and even in practicality, man. If you want to know what herb or what bush for deal with a certain ailment, can give you good advice, you know. But not only that, I don't want to trivialize the thing. This brethren is a freedom fighter, you know. Fight for Rastafari cause. Do enough things undercover, not really big up himself too much, but him being on the battlefield for a long time, so I have to give praises where praises are due. He's the publisher of this magazine here, Roots, Reggae and Culture, along with Jabulani Tafari, but I am really put the money behind this, make this thing stay alive. This is a Rastafari produced publication, full color. Think him have a few copies left on sale. This one not only features chronics, there's a nice article here on Janine writing in this magazine right here now. And while I remember we have publications on sale outside, we have a New Jamaica Journal, Peter Tosh being the topic. And unabashedly, I'm also have a book out which I promote as well, on the Rastafari movement. And I think it's good reading still. Obviously, I'm biased, but I think a very comprehensive read in and of itself. But anyway, without further ado, Priest Douglas Smith, who, as I said, been on the battlefield for a long time, is also the operations manager for Pure Jamaica Medical Marijuana Company here in Jamaica, and also Apollon's fiduciaries. But he can say more about that. We have a very powerful presentation to make, both the herb and ganja, as it is today, the industry today. Without further ado, Priest Douglas Smith. Priest Douglas Smith.
Xavier Imasgan Kebra Amla Tenasile. Yes, greetings in the divine name of His Imperial Majesty and our mother, the divine Empress Menen, Asfa. Yeah, I give thanks to be here. Give thanks, Professor Mike, invite I to be part of this discussion. First of all, I want to heal up some ones before I start. Nyambe, yeah man, give thanks to CDI. Mama, Sister Melody, yeah man, give thanks. Rasayavi, yeah man, I'm talking about the ganja advocate, see him there? Yeah man, you know, give thanks. Yeah man, we have to respect the elders who will come see and fight the fight, you know, and we join with them to bring this thing to a fruit, you know. Well, as Professor Mikey said, I published the Roots magazine for many years. We also hold the annual Marcus Garvey extravaganza in Florida for the last 15 years, of which I hope that Janine will be, you know, part of it coming up, which I will speak to you shortly. Yeah, them put I really talk behind Sister Janine, but it's a hard thing to do. But anyway, Peter, Mr. Tosh, the bush doctor, the stepping razor. We can say so much and so much has been said. But I go focus on my expertise, which is the bush doctor aspect of Peter. And through time, I'm kind of jot down some things and I go make it speak for itself. Peter Tosh Whaler was a stepping razor, bush doctor. He was cutting edge, not only in the area of music, but also in the field of traditional medicine. Tosh studied the art of neuropathy, healing, and understood the symmetry of herbs and the complexity of the ganja plant and the many illnesses its properties affected in the regimen of medical treatment. Long before people in 20th century became aware of the healing benefits of ganja, Peter Tosh and the members of the Rastafari faith discovered the curative powers of the ganja plant, which it was, as Peter published it to be, the healing of the nations. Peter, in his mega hit song, Legalize It, which has been inducted into the ganja movement as its anthem, spoke of the many professionals who have used ganja from that time until this time, and the many nations that have benefited from the healing powers of the ganja plant. Peter, being an out-of-the-box thinker and a non-conformist when it comes to his Rastafari ital livity, was a walking, talking billboard for the legalization of ganja. And he paid the price for it. Peter was brutally beaten on more than one occasion for using ganja in public. His signature was an Eastern-style pipe which he would light on stage at his performances. He always had a spliff and was not afraid of publicizing the truth of the holy herb, the Rastafari sacrament, as he called it. The list of illnesses that the ganja plant combat, Peter would recite like a timetable or a nursery rhyme. At that time, I would wonder how Peter knew the medical terminologies of the illnesses and their curative methods. But as Marcus Garvey, the forerunner of the Rastafari movement, was a visionary, setting the trend for our futuristic perception of life, Rastafari have always been knowledgeable in the overstanding of nature and her natural elements. Peter was an italist and spoke often of the benefits of eating healthy, making our food our medicine and our medicine our food. The stage was his classroom, his pulpit, and his House of Representatives. There, Peter would address the topical issues of the day and teach the life lessons of the moment, and preach his regular sermon on health, unity, and Africanness. Peter campaigned for the rights of the poor and disenfranchised, and reminded people of color what it is to be African, and that no matter where we come from, as long as you are black, you're an African. Peter acknowledged that melanin linked people of color to the African continent, and no matter their station in life or where black people found themselves, the struggle were the same. Whether on the African continent or throughout the diaspora, racism, bigotry, injustice, and poverty were the common hurdles people of color faced. Peter saw the bigger picture long before some of the so-called intellectual revolutionaries, and knew the power of media, so much so that he attempted to purchase a radio station to give voice to Rastafari and the disenfranchised. This step-and-razor move put fear in the administration and the upper echelon of society and triggered a red flag action against Peter. It has always been alleged that Peter Tosh's murder was politically sanctioned. The grapevine had it that the murders of Tosh and his guests were incited using old grievances and the fact that Peter had just won a royalty settlement for the pirating of one of his albums. Let I take a look at Peter's musical legacy. What we observe is a literal timeline in Jamaica's political and social development. Peter's first album was Legalize It, followed by a series of mega hit albums. There were Equal Rights, Bush Doctor, Mystic Man, Wanted, Dread and Alive, Mama Africa, and Peter's Grammy Award-winning album, No Nuclear War, which was Peter's last album before his murder in 1987. Live at One Love Peace Concert was released after Peter's murder. Peter was a true musical griot whose music will live on as a recount of historical events and actions, which helped to shape the African landscape. Reggae's early progenitors were victims of a colonial era and used the only avenue of defense or medium of expression available to I and I. We pray that history is kind and truthful in its recall of such ones as Peter, Bob Marley, and the many musical ambassadors of goodwill who volunteered their lives or who were sacrificed, as Peter was, for equal rights and justice. Yeah, Peter was a true bush doctor in the sense that Peter identified that herbs was the true healer of diseases and not the conventional medicines, as the sister said. Things like radiation and chemotherapy destroys both your good and your bad cells. So it destroys you. It doesn't heal. The hospital doesn't cure. It's an hospice. You go there and they make you as comfortable as they can until your demise. Healing comes from your healers, your traditional healers, those people who have practiced using herbs and food for eons before we knew of any conventional medicines, any synthetic drugs. So we give thanks to a man like Peter, who decided the rake long ago and pointed I and I in the right direction, that now this is vindication. Listening to the intellectuals and the politicians and everyone speak about Peter and Rastafari today is vindication for I and I, Rastafari. Also, we're living in a very vindicating era, because I hear the Prime Minister apologize to Rastafari for whatever, and now I see ganja come getting free, like the sister said, an incremental step in the right direction, but it's going in the right direction. And that is vindication for I and I. Because many of us were beaten, trimmed, some even murdered for the use of ganja. So, and I give thanks, and I have a few little clips here that will show you what is taking place in the modern world today. Run it. Everyone should know Sanjay Gupta. I will start off with him. He traveled the world to prove all the rumors that he heard about this great plant. And he has proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that it heals. It is the healing of the nation.
They call it the green rush. Marijuana has moved out of the back alleys and into the open.
Happy Cannabis Cup, y'all.
In some states, it's legal to grow, to sell, to smoke. And marijuana could be legalized in a city near you. So easy to get, and many think so harmless. But when the smoke clears, is marijuana bad for you? Or could pot actually be good for you?
Marijuana is better than all those pills for you in terms of treating?
Yeah. I travel the world for answers. What does marijuana do to you? What does it do to your kids? A special investigation. Weed.
Yeah, that's the first clip. The man himself, live on the wreck. With his famous M16 guitar. like I said earlier, the stage was Peter's pulpit, was his classroom.
Did you know that you have cannabis receptors in your body, in your cells, in your DNA? Chalk that up to one more thing your government never wanted you to know. Not only is cannabis friendly to your metabolism, THC, the most biologically potent component of cannabis, is actually manufactured by your own body. And your cannabinoid receptors are stimulated by a lot of other foods as well. So if cannabis plants are bad for you, so are things like carrots, broccoli, citrus fruit, mustard, and chocolate. Classifying cannabis as a dangerous substance was one of the most blatant and bold frauds ever perpetrated on society. Cannabis, when used properly, is as boring as any other vegetable and as necessary to your health. Cannabis is packed with essential nutrients and healing properties when it is fresh and not heated, dried, or aged. When cannabis is fresh from the plant, it is not a narcotic. It does not make you high. Your body's cannabis receptors are looking for the fresh, raw, unprocessed plant. Having cannabis receptors in our DNA means that we must have used cannabis as a nutrient for most of our human evolution. The cannabis receptors in our cells mean 4 things. Our body recognizes cannabis, uses it, needs it, and our health is better when we get it. Otherwise, those receptors would not be there. I'm not talking about the heated, smoked, aged, or dried cannabis that makes you high. We need the fresh plant, like in a salad or juiced. It's a nutrient, one of the best that you can put in your body. Cannabis is one of the most powerful nutrients and healers on the face of the planet, and you were not supposed to find that out. The fact that we all have cannabis receptors in our DNA means that cannabis may have been a staple of the human diet for millions of years as an essential nutrient and food source. Research shows that cannabis provides an astonishing number of medical benefits. So much so that you may not be in peak health unless you consume some of it from time to time. We have been seriously lied to, and that lie has caused major damage to millions of people for 2 or 3 generations now. The demonization of cannabis correlates with the early promotion of pharmaceutical industries, where wealthy investors in drug companies needed legislation to discourage competition from inexpensive natural therapies. This is certainly not the only time that commercial interests have bought legislation to benefit some industry at the expense of the public. Have you ever wondered why cannabis was prohibited when it was far less harmful, even when smoked, than alcohol and prescription drugs? We've been so thoroughly misinformed that a powerful healing plant was made out to be a killer drug, and most people who are alive today cannot even remember a time when we were not lied to about cannabis by our government, our schools, our police, and even our friends who make the mistake of trusting what their government tells them. If they had not put cannabis out of our reach, we would be curing ourselves without their toxic drugs, their overpriced healthcare programs, and their legal harassment of absolutely harmless use of an amazing plant. Your corrupt government even went to the trouble to classify cannabis as a dangerous substance with no therapeutic value when they knew it was one of the most vital and powerful nutrients available to mankind. Trusting people who call themselves authorities is a fool's game. Cannabis kills cancer, stops seizures, rebuilds immune systems, and restores health to all of the 120 different kinds of cells in our bodies. Cannabis performs multiple healing functions at the cellular level, which is where everything that matters in your body takes place. The medical industry calls the healing components of cannabis CBDs. They know about this, but they would rather sell you drugs. Again, the benefits of cannabis are primarily in the fresh, unheated form when it has little THC and does not make you high. Eating or juicing a few ounces of raw, fresh cannabis every day will do more for your general health than any drug or vitamin pill that money can buy. Cannabis is a major threat to the prescription drug industry, which, by the way, kills 100,000 people in the USA every year with side effects, overdoses, and toxic reactions caused by those prescription medications. Cannabis kills no one, even when it is used as a recreational drug, compared to alcohol, which again kills and sickens hundreds of thousands of people every year from addiction, liver failure, and a host of other pathologies. The rediscovery of the benefits of cannabis is a big story, but the bigger story is how we have been deliberately betrayed by our authorities, pundits, and quacks who promulgated the phony killer weed scam upon society. The world is not what your government tells you it is. The world is not what media, schools, the police, and politicians tell you it is. They hide things. They lie to you. The official war against cannabis is crumbling and has been for some years. 23 states have legalized cannabis in one way or another. Research has started to be taken seriously, and law enforcement has started to focus on more truly serious drug problems like methamphetamine, crack cocaine, and heroin. If you think that cannabis is bad for you, you have been missing some extremely important information, and you may want to start exploring alternative views. Here are some websites where you can find out more about nutritional cannabis. These links are also in the information box below this video on YouTube.
Yeah, that's the truth, you know.
Educated that, like, oh, that's a drug. You don't do that. And I never did.
But just decades ago, marijuana was a legitimate medication, also called cannabis, prescribed by doctors and dispensed by pharmacies.
Yes, sis, after this one you can stop it.
It's okay, baby.
This is their daughter, Charlotte, having a seizure.
Here is proof in the
Just
pudding.
one random febrile seizure.
Nothing to really do,
Right.
no medications. It's a fluke.
Right.
A fluke made sense. After all, Charlotte, nicknamed Charlie, was born perfectly healthy, a fraternal twin to sister Chase. By the time she was 2, though, the seizures had become constant and started to take their toll on their once happy, joyful little girl.
She started to really decline cognitively, and she was slipping away, and she just wasn't keeping up with her twin.
The Figgies finally found an answer. It was awful news. Dravet syndrome. It is severe, intractable epilepsy. The seizures start during the first year of life and are unstoppable, difficult to control, and very damaging.
Severe behavioral problems, attention deficit and hyperactivity, the self-injury, banging her head on the floor and pulling her hair out, and like a possessed child. This isn't your perfect, happy Charlotte.
It was a race against time. Many Dravet kids die young, in early childhood. Charlotte was almost 3. For the next 2 years, the Figgies tried everything. Strange diets, acupuncture, and dozens of powerful drugs like Valium, Ativan, phenobarbital. But nothing seemed to help. Even worse, some of the medications nearly killed her.
After 1 dose, she stops breathing, and after 2 doses, her heart will stop.
Did you have to do CPR then on her yourself?
Yes. I remember when her heart stopped and I had her pulse and I lost her pulse. There was just nothing. The ambulance is on its way.
She survived.
You're okay. Mommy's here.
But now it was fall of 2011, and Charlotte was 5 years old. Matt had been deployed to Afghanistan, and the only thing he could do to help was start scouring the internet. And he stumbled onto this video of a child using marijuana.
So how's everything going? Jaden had 4 days without a seizure.
I'm like, wow, this having success on specifically Dravet, this is interesting. It's natural.
And while he couldn't ever imagine taking marijuana himself, he was now in the stunning position of recommending it for Charlotte.
I was like, we need to do this.
And I said, I don't know.
Charlie, there you are.
And then Charlotte's condition got worse. 300 seizures a week, almost 2 every hour. She was not talking or moving, basically catatonic. As a last resort, doctors wanted to either prescribe a powerful veterinary drug used on epileptic dogs or put Charlotte in a medically induced coma so her brain and body could rest. For Paige, those were not good options. But maybe, just maybe, marijuana now was.
People ask us that a lot, like, how did you make that decision? It wasn't a decision.
It wasn't a decision.
It was the next viable option.
And some would say a radical option, marijuana for a 5-year-old. But it was an option they hoped would change her life forever. They had already tried dozens of high-powered drugs.
We needed to try something else, and at that point in time, marijuana was that natural course of action to try.
At home in Colorado, Paige searched for marijuana high in CBD. That's the ingredient some scientists think helps seizures, and also low in THC. Remember, she didn't want to get her daughter stoned. She found a small amount at a Denver dispensary. The owner was surprised that anyone would even want it.
They said it's funny because no one buys this, that was the general consensus, that nobody wanted it. It didn't have any effect.
Paige paid $800 for a small bag and took it home.
I had a friend that was starting a business on making medicine. And I said, can you help me extract the medicine from this bag of marijuana? I measured it with a syringe and squirted it under her tongue. It was exciting and very nerve-wracking.
Holding Charlotte in her arms, Paige waited. An hour ticked by, and then another, and then another.
She didn't have a seizure that day. And then she didn't have a seizure that night.
Did you sit there and look at your watch? And...
Right, I thought, this is crazy. And then she didn't have one the next day. And then the next day. And I thought, she would have had 100 by now. And I just thought, this is insane.
I remember how happy Paige was, like, it's really working. I can't believe it. Yeah, that was pretty amazing to hear.
It had worked.
Key.
The child who had had 300 seizures a week was now down to just one every 7 days.
Yeah. Legalize it, and we will advertise it, Vindication for the man called Peter Tosh, has proven beyond the, shadow of a doubt, science has proven the benefits of the great marijuana plant. So we have a lot, that we owe to this one who have highlighted the greatness of the plant long before doctors and scientists, The Rasta man, they done side the rake. So give thanks, Rastafari.
All right, we're going to go for musical performance before we have some remarks from the Tosh estate. But History Man, who is the person that I want to bring on next, has a very interesting biographical song on Peter, which really encapsulates the history of Peter's life and his achievements and everything. And all of this is put to music. And I told History Man that I wanted him to go on early, really, to set the tone. But artists being artists want to do things their own way. So he decided to leave it till the last minute to do this song.
Yeah. Yeah, man, greetings. Bless up the whole family. Yes, every time. Was you ready for me? Yeah, man, kick it. Moa Aisha, Mike Barnett. Always the people, good and bad people, black and white people, we are all Jah people, Chinese people, Indian people. Love is the answer, give it to the people. I see so many faces from different races. Please put a smile on your beautiful faces. Bless up them man, love up the ladies. They are the one them who carry the babies from this generation to the next stages. Give thanks and praises, open up your eyes. We are the ancient from long, long ages. For the works you perform, you must get your wages. Always the people, good and bad people, black and white people, we are all job people, Chinese people, Indian people. Love is the answer, give it to the people. Give thanks to the love and the care you show me, it will always be here with me in my memory. History man is my name, Jamaica is my country. Love and joy that always surround me. Give some food to the people from your seat that them hungry. Cup on your plate will never be empty. Blessing from above, Jah send it down plenty. More love we are give out in a tens and 20. Always the people, good and bad people, black and white people, we are all job people, Chinese people, Indian people. Love is the answer, give it to the people. Jamaican, Americans, Canadian people, English, Spanish, and all you French people, Belgium, Italian, and German people, African, Japanese, Indian, and Chinese people. Full time we come together, sit down and reason, put away all the war and all the evil. Love me, I say note from season to season. Trouble them history man, say I love you, my people. Always the people, good and bad people, black and white people, we are all job people, Chinese people, Indian people. Love is the answer, give it to the people.
Love thy neighbor as you love thyself. Do good unto others, just as you love others to do unto you. It's not the color of the skin, not the color of the eyes. Just see good in yourself and see good in others. Because Jah is love and love is Jah. Only love shall stand.
Always the people, good and bad people, black and white people, we are all Jah people, Chinese people, Indian people. Love is the answer, give it to the people. Love is the answer, give it to the people. Love is the answer, give it to the people. Love is the answer, give it to the people. Give it to the people, 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 give it to the people. Yeah! Love is the answer, you know? Well, this one goes out to the great, great Peter Tosh. So when I say Peter Tosh, I just want to hear you all say, Daddy Peter Tosh. Drop it. And beg a little volume on it, please. On the rhythm. Peter Tosh, Daddy Peter Tosh, the man say legalize the herb, the chalice of feel light up. Peter Tosh, Daddy Peter Tosh, the man say legalize the herb, the chalice of feel light up. Peter Tosh, Daddy Peter Tosh, the man say legalize the herb, the chalice of feel light up. Peter Tosh, Daddy Peter Tosh, no Babylon no like them and say them beat him up now. Peter Tosh was born in 1944, October 19. Oh yes, this is sure. Real revolutionary, true Rastaman. Born in a Green Hill down a Westmoreland. Big up Peter, mother name is Alvira. A one son she have no must remember. James McIntosh, the name of Peter father. He was a Christian, used to be a preacher. As a little youth, him wrestling at the country. At the age of 15, moved to Kingston City. Him used to rest up monks one I'm auntie. Then time the him no link up yet with Babam Bunny. Peter Tosh used to live in a trench town area. Practicing guitar, him was a guitar player. Jamaican people no hear that one here. Peter Tosh used to be an apprentice tailor. Peter Tosh, Daddy Peter Tosh. The man say legalize the herb, the chalice a feel light up. Peter Tosh, Daddy Peter Tosh. Babylon no like him and so them beat him up. No Peter Tosh, Daddy Peter Tosh. The man say legalize the herb, the chalice a fill light up. Peter Tosh, Daddy Peter Tosh. No Babylon no like it, so them beat him up now. 1963, link up with Bob and Bunny, and also the three of them start to part together. After that, them link up with Joe X, the teacher, Jerry Green, Beverly Kelso, and Bradway together. 1963, them put the group together. How what them call them? The wailing wailer. Peter Tosh was the only instrument player, except that guitarist and a keyboard player. 1974, them get them first major hit. Simmer Down was the name and the title of it. 1974 when the group get split, Peter first solo album named Legalize It. Get up, stand up, a Peter Tosh write it. Stop that train, a Peter Tosh write it. 400 years a Peter Tosh write it. No sympathy, a Peter Tosh write it. Peter Tosh, Daddy Peter Tosh. The man say legalize the herb, the chalice a fill light up. Peter Tosh, Daddy Peter Tosh. No Babylon no like the man, so them beat him up. No Peter Tosh, Daddy Peter Tosh. The man say legalize the herb, the chalice a fill light up. Peter Tosh, Daddy Peter Tosh. No Babylon no like the man, so them beat him up. Lot of singles and plenty LP. 1976 a legalized LP. 1977 equal rights LP. 1978 a Bush Doctor LP. 1979 a Mystic Man LP. Wanted General Life a 81 LP. Mama Africa done 1983. 1988 Peter won the Grammy. Peter Tosh said of a band named Word, Sound and Power. At the time him used to live in a St. Andrew area, and him used to be a one-wheel cycle rider. 1983, listen to me statement. Peter Tosh car meet in a one big accident. I would upon the mic, not the great history man. In the accident, him lost him girlfriend named Ivan. Peter Tosh. Girlfriend named Ivan. Peter Tosh. Daddy Peter Tosh. The man say legalize the herb, the chalice a fill light up. Peter Tosh. Daddy Peter Tosh. No Babylon no like them and so them beat him up. No Peter Tosh. Daddy Peter Tosh. The man say legalize the herb, the chalice a fill light up. Peter Tosh. Daddy Peter Tosh. No Babylon, so them beat him up. No. Big up Peter Tosh, cause him a real superstar. Him last album make them no nuclear war. 11th of September 1987. Them kill Peter Tosh, what me no know the reason. How one gunshot him get T9 head. Doc Brown and Freya him next two friend dead. Enough gunmen, listen to me history. Lepo, yo Whiskey Bar and Mikey. Santa get a few shot, but him never dead. Mike's get a few shot, but him never dead. But she never dead. Got big shoot out, foot on her mouth. Never drop out. Daughters on bout. Me a sing it out. Herbie Miller, the Tosh manager. Must remember from Sister Portia, Daddy Peter Tosh, I feel light up. Daddy Peter Tosh, so them beat him up now. Daddy Peter Tosh, Chalice I feel light up. Daddy Peter Tosh, so them beat him up now. Now stick me the sack, put them goat them act. They see with a rat, all of them sad. All of them glad, sons and daughters, mothers and dad. Israel king is Israel God. Come in know that they must happy and glad. Light people for you make a bun down room. Tell Babylon to be ready for go home. Rastafari, head of the comb. Highly still I say I sit down for the tune. Me not eat them meat, suck them bone. Pies in my body like any grabber zone. Crack and cocaine if you leave it alone. Mash up your heart, make you vomit and foam man. Mother than them, man hotter than them, man wicked than them. Rougher than them, tougher than them, hotter than them. Mother than them, man hotter than them, man wicked than them. Rougher than them, tougher than them, hotter than Peter Tosh, Daddy Peter. The man to legalize the herb, the chalice a fill light up. Peter Tosh, Peter Tosh. Daddy Peter Tosh. The Babylon no like the man, so them beat him up. No Peter Tosh, Peter Tosh. Daddy Peter Tosh. The man to legalize the herb, the chalice a fill light up. Peter Tosh, Peter Tosh. Daddy Peter Tosh. The Babylon no like the man, so them beat him up. No. Hail the IFLT, Rastafari. Yes, I give thanks for the gathering. Selassie.
All right. Blessings. One love for the one, the instrument. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for instrument once more. All right, so when I say Peter, you say Tosh. Peter. When I say Peter, you say Tosh. Peter. It's all about Peter Tosh tonight, all right? And let me apologize for the incident earlier, all right? The team had no idea of what was to come, and we take full responsibility for that, and sincerest apologies go out to all who witnessed that tonight. All right, so of course, you know, say, we'll have to close out with some really good music. Instrument, big up yourself. I love that one. Thank you. All right, so we have another band coming from New York City. It's Mason, the Emperor, and the Rebel Souls. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen. That's Mason, the Emperor, and the Rebel Souls.
Yeah, this is fine. Just a correction. Mason Emperor from out of Japan. And the Rebel Souls from Jamaica. The one we come from, yeah, I said we're still. Just 1 second to set up. All right, while we're taking the minute to set up, I just want to take the opportunity to, of course, thank the Most High, Jah, always, Rastafari. And of course, you know, we give thanks for the opportunity to be here, to share love with each and every one of you, beautiful souls, and receive love, especially on this particular day, the 19th of October, Peter Tosh strong, you see it. So how's everyone doing in this evening? Everyone well? All right. I don't know what incident they were talking about earlier on. I didn't witness it, but we're glad you're still here and alive and well. Marcus Garvey. Freedom. Yeah. Freedom. Me want tell you, say, feel like that. Them say, are free, we are free. Me say, I test them, I test we. If we realize nothing no change between the physical chain and the chain in our brain. Mental slavery control we mind. None but one self can truly free one mind. Victim of a psychological defeat. Mark the end of our nation, we not free yet. Every day a certain death. I lose more and more of myself. It's never ending road. I feel my hopes start to erode. Them distract me from the ultimate goal. Music lets me hold on to my soul. Every day upon the slave can't reach me goal. Day by day slave master thief me soul. Tell me say freedom come long ago. Me can't see it, believe it, me see them. Try hold me down, you see. Me see say Jah bless me. Mental slavery and hate used to conquer we. Most I Jah give we music for set we free. Freedom. Me fellow African, me know say it rough. Stay focused, the true ruler is us. We born free kings and queens, royalty, songs of freedom, emancipation, mentality. Every day certain death, I lose more and more of myself. This never ending road, I feel my hopes start to erode. Them can't distract me from the ultimate goal. Music lets me hold on to my soul. Yeah. Every day upon the slave can't reach me goal. Day by day slave master thief me soul. Tell me say freedom come long ago. Me can't see it, believe it, me see them. Try hold me down, you see. Me see say Jah bless me. Mental slavery and hate used to conquer we. Most I Jah give we music for set we free. Oh, freedom is yours, plant your banner. Yeah, red, black and green. Marcus Garvey say give up the vain. Desire, reach higher. Divine ambition indeed to live free. Freedom. Oh, freedom. Freedom. Yeah, man. Give it thanks. Respect, one love. The Rebel Source family, sounding nice. You're supposed to know that one here. Sing along if you know the lyrics. Everybody's crying out for peace. Yes. None is crying out for justice. Everyone is crying out for peace. Yes. None is crying out for justice. I don't want no peace. I need equal rights and justice. Sing it then. Equal rights and justice. Yes, on this side over here. I'm gonna hear you. Equal rights and justice. Yeah, give me the equal rights and justice. Everybody wants to go to heaven. Nobody wants to die. Everybody wants to go to heaven. None of them, no one wants to die. I don't want no peace. What do we need? We need a equal rights, yeah, and justice. I need a equal rights and justice. Give me equal rights and justice. Oh, equal rights and justice. Oh. Equal rights and justice. Yeah. Yeah, man. Celebrating the life of Peter Tosh. Just wonder if I could get a little bit of help here. If we could just clap with me. Yeah, man. He gave me the words that I should teach. I picked up the Bible and decided to preach, but I couldn't hold on, cause all the hatred and all the things that they said and did. Still I try my best to take what I need and give back the rest. When I see my maker, I know I saved some lives along the road. And on the day I see Jah, the way I live won't have to ask why. I live up, do my best, give my all. I'm gonna pass this test. The peace from you, Jah, ruling in my heart. We are one, and I am thankful. Nothing of this world can bind me or blind me or misguide me. With you in my heart I have wisdom. I live my life with faith and I keep my pace. No, I won't stop. I work every second, I don't drop. Cause I know that there's a man on the road that don't have, and I gotta make it so I can give back. And if I should die before I make it, I pray to Jah my soul to take. And another man steps up to the plate to complete the mission to conquer hate. Peace from you, Jah, ruling in my heart. We are one, and I am thankful. Nothing of this world can bind me or blind me or misguide me. With you in my heart I have wisdom. I lead my life with faith and I keep my pace. Save a life, save a life, save a life. Oh, oh. Give it thanks. One love, one love, one love, and respect. I wonder if I could get a little bit of help singing this one here now. For my final tune. You know, many atrocities going on in the world right now, all over. Go on, play it. Go on, bounce it easy. And you know, it's about time it stops. So I just want you to help me. Just one lyric. When you hear me say, we need to stop. Just want to hear you say stop. You say stop for me. You can do it louder than that. We need the world to hear it, you know. Africa, China, Japan. We need stop. You see it? One more time. Can't hear you. We need to stop. Yeah, I did that. Yeah, all right. Hurts now. Life in a Gideon, seeking light still is dark everywhere I turn. Yeah. Say there's a sunny side, though I've never ever seen it yet. I keep my head held high even when I feel it. Only hope is that we save ourselves from a world of oblivion. We need to stop and intervene. Why is it we don't live like kings and queens? We're born to live a life of royalty. We need to stop and intervene. Why is it we don't live like kings and queens? We're born to live a life of royalty. Humble ourselves, we are the ones who are supposed to live up like Jah. Freedom is ours, we need to find peace so we'll have eternal life. Tell me, why do we have war in our hometown? Why do we invade another's land? I can have, but my brother can't have. We need to stop and intervene. Why is it we don't live like kings and queens? We're born to live a life of royalty. We need to stop and intervene. Why is it we don't live like kings and queens? We're born to live a life of royalty. We must free up ourselves of a world full of killing, yeah. Free up ourselves of a world full of prejudice. Free up ourselves. Oh, before we meet our maker, I hope you're ready for change now. 'Cause I've been ready a long time. We need to stop. Oh, why is it we don't live like kings and queens? We're born to live a life of royalty. We need to stop and intervene. Why is it we don't live like kings and queens? We're born to live a life of royalty. We need to stop, intervene. Why is it we don't live like kings and queens? We're born to live a life of royalty. We need to stop, intervene. Why is it we don't live like kings and queens? We're born to live a life of royalty. We need to stop. Giving thanks, honor, one love. Miss Emperor and the Rebel Souls.
Thank you very much. Can we get another round of applause for Mason, the Emperor, and the Rebel Souls? Beautiful music. At this time, we ask Dr. Glenn Tovey to welcome and introduce the main lady from the Tosh's estate.
Is Jamaica here? Jamaica in the house in spirit and mind and body? Jamaica, stand up. Stand up. It's tired? The reason I'm telling you to stand up, I need everybody to come down. Come down to these first two rows. Come down, family. I'm gonna make an introduction to somebody. We have a special guest in the house. They're not gonna come out unless you guys come down just a little bit. We're almost over tonight. Gotta do it. Come on down. Thank you. How many people have iPhones and Androids? You have your phones together? If you take a moment out, lift up that phone and put in Peter Tosh, that MOBI. Take out your phone. We're gonna actually be giving a gift tonight to the winner. And if you don't do it now, it's good for 24 hours. So on this app, you'll be able to put in petertosh.mobi. You can communicate, learn more about the concerts, all the events that are going in all year round, and stay in contact directly with the family to share your messages, heartfelt messages, thoughts. Many of you, I saw you shaking your heads. You were moved by the music, by the message, by this great man. What's most important, I'd like to say, is if you look at the unselfish sacrifice of this family, if you've looked at the legacy that's been given, we have something called culture vultures. Like in hip hop, they have these different people that don't look like the people that created the art form, and none of the money and none of the flow and none of the intellectual property and none of the growth comes back to the community. So it's important to tell our family, our friends, each of us to remember to not just sing, rejoice, and talk about how great we are, but to come up and think of your own ideas, making food that has something to do with the diaspora, creating food, dishes, clothing, ideas, getting involved in tech, all based on Jamaica and the premises of the ideology of the great man, Peter Tosh. So he's talked about legalize, now it's time to mobilize, using technology, communication, and creating different types of things. It's time for motion and movement so that Jamaica can continue to grow. The small island that continues to grow and gets bigger and bigger, but yet stays the same size in heart and purpose. So I just wanted to share that with you. And do check in on this petertosh.mobi. You can get interactive activity. We're giving away merchandise. There'll be ticket giveaways and many different things. So without further ado, I wanted to bring over this amazing lady and, of course, ask her mother to stand up. Such humble, amazing people. I've been advising the board. My dear brother, Brian Latour, I want to bring them up. Everybody that's part of the Peter Tosh Foundation to come up this way real quick. And I know it's not a lot of us in the room at this time, but it's many of us outside of the room because of the narrative, because of the spirit, and what's happening. So a big round of applause to yourselves for sitting through, supporting, and coming through this great nation. I'd like to introduce to you Nishambi.
Thank you, thank you. It's the ending of the night, so I'm so glad that the soldiers stuck through some of the rough times to see such a great performance at the end. And so thank you all for coming out. My work is, I'm the head of the estate, and so my work is to continuously look for ways to expand my father's legacy, reach young people with his message, and inspire change. And so we now have launched the Peter Tosh Foundation, which is official. We are looking to do work here in Jamaica, partnering with the Haile Selassie School, looking to support the Rastafari community, and really not only spread the message, but also make sure that we are continuing the work. My father passed prematurely and was starting a radio station at the time, and always was his music was his weapon, and I want to also make his music inspire us to do the work that can uplift Jamaica and uplift those across the world. That is the work that I do, and I'm so grateful that so many of you have come out tonight. It was definitely a great show, and I don't want to let a rough 10 minutes paint the whole picture of the experience. So many people do that. They're like, oh my God, oh my goodness. You're like, but did you see the whole thing? Like, did you see the beginning? Did you see Nexus? Did you see the speakers? A wonderful, wonderful experience. And so I'm the type of person that don't cry about spilt milk. I just keep it moving and look for all the positivity. Lessons become what you learn. You say, hey, okay, we won't do that again. Next time we have a different process for how musicians come on the program. And so, for me, I try to stay positive, try to stay uplifting. I want to thank those that maintain the positivity within, during the show. And I want to thank you all for coming out and thank you all for supporting. Please continue to follow the legacy. We are going to do real work. And so join me in the movement, join me in continuing on the legacy. Check out the merchandise, buy someone a t-shirt. We're always promoting his I Am That I Am, African equal rights and justice. Be an ambassador for that change. Be an ambassador of Peter Tosh and pass it on to the next generation. So thank you all. And this is my mom, my fellow creator, the one that raised me in my father's absence. So I give thanks to her, and I'm glad she could be here tonight. Yes. And the rest of the family.
Congrats. I've been to similar event in the past. I know Peter to an extent, especially when he had his Ilman Hunter car. I think he had lived at Ensom City that time. And I remember deliberately, I own a car similar to his,
except his was faster than mine. And he used to service it on Arbor Street, and I took him there 1 or 2 times to leave him so he can pick up his car after servicing. But I say this, Marlene Brown, is that a name that the family knows of?
We do know the name.
And she was the female that he was living with at the time when that. What's her status in the old Peter Tosh Foundation? Because I remember coming to one event here and she was here. And I knew of her image before and I was speaking to her. And she was saying, cow jump over the moon.
All right, great question.
The question is, she mentioned that it's because of her initiative as well as the property she had why the Peter Tosh Museum where Pulse was established, What is the status as of now? Because I want to know, do I give Marlene Brown $1 million US or 2 for her work? Because they seem to be doing something parallel, whether with the rest of the family or not. Because she has certain... No, this is public. It's not private.
You asked about 3 questions, and I'm just going to say that... Yes, I'm just going to say that Marlene has contributed to the museum. That is, and the family, the foundation, the Peter Tosh Foundation, consists of the children of Peter Tosh.
And the greater news is if you download petertosh.mobi, this interactive computer program, you can speak live to one of the representatives and share what's on your heart. Ladies and gentlemen, let's wrap it up tonight. This was amazing. In the spirit of Peter Tosh, somebody say yeah! Yeah! Get on that app and ask those questions. We welcome them. petertosh.mobi. You're going to love it. And you'll get a free t-shirt if you do it before midnight.